Hello, friends, and thank you for being here. This is episode 41 Withstanding Fear. You do not have a timid soul. And today's episode, it's going to be good. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. Fear. It grips all of us several times, maybe many times in our lives. Fear can come at us from something out of our control, and it can also show up as a result of something that we said or did, right? So, either way, fear can rob us of our sleep, it can destroy relationships, it can create such self doubt that it turns us inside out. I mean, fear, it is a very, very destructive force. So, we know what fear is. We've experienced it, like I said, whether it is something that we said or did, or something that happened to us that created fear to come along. But let's talk about the opposite of fear. And what is the opposite of fear? Well, it's courage. However, to be courageous doesn't mean the absence of fear, the absolution of fear, but rather withstanding fear. So I want you to think about that for a second. When you look back at a time when you were courageous, you can probably recall the presence of fear. I mean, you felt it all the way to your bones. That is why when this courageous moment, when it was over for you, you probably felt numerous emotions, such as relief, joy, excitement, and many others. I mean, you probably feel completely elated at the fact that whatever that moment was that was creating such fear within you, it is now gone. It is now past, however long that moment was, right? So you felt these because you did not allow fear to win. I mean, you didn't realize maybe at the time that you were actually resisting fear, that you were pushing back on it. You weren't even aware that's what you were doing, because that is what resistance is, something pushing in on something and something pushing back. And you were pushing back, yet you didn't realize it. You just knew that you were scared, that you were fearful, yet you kept the momentum going. So, why is that? Why is that? That's what we're looking into today. And I can tell you the reason why is because you were not created with a timid soul. You were not made to walk around with your head down, browbeaten, and ashamed. I mean, I have read this particular Bible verse on this podcast before. I've even written about it in my posts, but it just keeps coming up for me because I believe it to be a life verse of mine. It's something I apply to myself many times as an adult. And then I can look back and see in my past how I was doing that, just didn't realize it. So maybe it will become one for you as well. And it comes out of Second Timothy, and it is 2 Timothy 1:7. And it says, For the Spirit of God gave us I'm sorry. So, for the Spirit of God does not make us timid, but it gives us power, love, and discipline. And in some translations, it states that God didn't give us a spirit of cowardice, or God doesn't give us a spirit of fearfulness. So, you were not made to be full of fear, to be timid, or a coward. You were not made that way. It doesn't state that we won't fear or even act as a coward or live in a timid state, because, I mean, that's going to happen. We're human. And that human part of us, that part of us that listens to all the naysayers and all the lies of the world, it is going to feel these things. Things like this, we're going to allow it to happen. Fear and all the thoughts that lead to it, well, that comes with the territory. All the thoughts that come with fear will come in and it will show up. You will feel the presence of fear, yet you choose to take the next step anyway. You choose to resist the urge to freeze up, to keep it from stopping you. You push back. So, one of the best stories of my life that I remember actually pushing back at fear was when I was in seventh grade. In seventh grade, where I grew up out in West Texas in Midland, that is when you hit seventh grade, That was junior high, 7th and 8th grade. And we could pick one elective. Everything else we had to take our core electives. We had to take a PE or athletics, but we got one elective. And I chose theater. Now I had been playing, I had the last few years before that, the last couple of years before that, I had been taking violin and I absolutely loved it. And that was definitely an elective. However, I chose theater because I was so tired of being shy. I love theater. I love going to plays. I just never thought that could be me up on the stage. And I was always known to be a shy kid and I was really tired of it. So I signed up for theater class, even though the orchestra teacher for 7th and 8th grade called me and tried to talk me out of it. And I almost did because that fear was so present within me. And I really did love the violin, but I was so sick of being shy and being fearful of speaking up in front of people, of even just kind of saying hi and having a conversation without it being awkward. I was so tired of it. So I signed up for the theater class, and along came the first chance to try out for a play. So I tried out. I wasn't very good at all. I tried out for my first play and I received a very, very minor role. I mean, I only spoke like 4 words. And I want to say it was something like, well, here's your key, sir. I mean, I don't really remember. I just remember it was like 4 words. It was something along those lines. And it was basically, the play was a goofy retelling of the story of Robin Hood. Basically, if middle schoolers could write a play about Robin Hood, that's what this play was. We didn't write it, but it was an attempt at that age group. So I got the part and I rehearsed it. Yes, you heard me. I rehearsed those 4 words because I was deathly afraid I was going to screw it up on stage. So my dad, I was so excited about it though. My dad even took me to rent a costume at the local theater. You could go in the basement and you can rent one of the costumes. And so I had this beautiful medieval gown. For me, it was this big, beautiful medieval gown, but I loved it. I rented it and I felt the part. So anyway, I'm rehearsing the part. I have the dress. Here comes the first weekend of the play. I think it was like 2 weekends because the play, every part was split between 2 actors. So my best friend actually got the same part as me. And so she was going to perform like the next weekend. So this was my weekend, Friday and Saturday, to perform for parents, whatever. So here we are. We're about to perform. I have the beautiful rented costume, and here comes that first night. And I was so nervous. I was so deathly afraid that I began to sweat profusely. I mean, what 12-year-old girl does not want to be sweating profusely, right? Yeah. Okay. So then, if that wasn't bad enough, somebody asked me, like, what are those red things on your neck? What is that? You have like a rash or something on your neck. So I ran to the bathroom and I look in there and I see what was that I was beginning to break out in hives all over my neck and chest area. Yay, even better. So I wanted to go home. I wanted to call my parents and tell them, take me home. I mean, I live just a few blocks away. I even contemplated walking home in this ball gown, not really ball gown, this medieval gown. I mean, I'm supposed to be up there, presentable, say my 4 words, exit stage, and be good. Yet I saw it all falling apart in front of me. I felt like I was going to be a joke and it was going to be awful. Fear, cowardice, and timidity, whatever. Timidness. I'm just going to go there. They were speaking into me. And guess what? I was listening. Oh, was I listening? However, something in me, I don't know if it was stubbornness, whatever it might be, told me that I needed to follow through. You need to follow through with this because if you quit now, you'll probably never get another role while you attend this junior high. The theater teacher is not going to put you in another role if you can't handle this one line. So I didn't quit. I went ahead and went through with it. And I mean, it was okay. I went through with it. I delivered my 4 words. I moved on. And then the next time I had to perform, I bet you can guess. Yes, I still sweated profusely and I broke out into hives again, but I kept going. And once the run of that play was over, I was so relieved. To say I was relieved is an understatement. I was immensely relieved, yet I was also very happy. I was elated. I was proud that I did not give in to fear. I saw that I was braver than I ever gave myself credit for. I saw that I had more courage than I ever thought I had. And then from there, I went on to perform more plays my 8th grade year. And then in high school, I performed plays. I even lettered in theater in high school. I'm not saying I was this great thespian, but I didn't allow it to stop me. And it was trying really hard. I was having physical symptoms that were trying to stop me in my tracks. So I could have stopped it that evening in the restroom of my junior high as I stared in the mirror at a young girl drenched in sweat in a medieval ball gown and her neck covered in red blotches. I could have, folks. I didn't. And thank God, and I mean that with all sincerity, thank God that I didn't, because in that moment, He revealed to me something that I would allow to keep growing and nurturing. And that thing is courage. He let me see that I was courageous, that my spirit was not timid. Maybe you have given in the majority of your life to the lies of fear. I mean, we can all look back and see where we have let fear win more often than not. However, no matter how long you have let fear win, it doesn't change the fact that you were created with a spirit that doesn't even know fear. You are not timid and you are not a coward. It is time to set the lies aside and begin to live a life and in the belief of the incredible things that you can do. It is time to listen to the truth spoken to us, spoken over us, and spoken through us by our God, that we are not made to back down and cower to dread and to despair. That is not how He made us, and that is not how He sees us. So I want to ask you a question. How do you think you would live your life differently if you truly believed that you do not have a spirit of fearfulness? Let today, let today be one of many where you withstand fear, friend.